Eric?
Yeah, it's people in.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Julia, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, excellent. And we can hear you. Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee on Thursday, September 18th, 2025 at 7 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed. You can watch it on HWCam. We also have one remote member, Julia Campbell, and so all votes this evening will be a roll call vote. Before we begin the meeting, I have a brief informational announcement. David Polito has resigned his seat on the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee. We thank David for his many years of service and wish him well. Next up, we have citizens' comments. So the way that citizens' comments work here on the school committee,
Dana,
yep,
Pledge of Allegiance?
it was actually not on the agenda, but we certainly can.
Oh, okay, it's not on the agenda.
I'm trying to follow the rules, but at the will of the committee, that is absolutely something that we can do. I was really trying not to put on something that wasn't on the agenda.
No, leave it off, it's fine.
No, well, happy to do it.
What was that? I missed, sorry.
The Pledge of Allegiance had been left off, so I'm happy to do it. At the will of the committee, I invite you all to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So next up are citizens' comments. The way that citizens' comments work here at the school committee is that any citizen who wishes to speak before the committee, either here in the room or we have available comments on Zoom as well. I ask that if you choose to speak, I ask that each citizen identify themselves by name, and I ask you to spell your last name for us so that we can get it correct in the minutes. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. I'm going to ask Amy, as she does at every meeting, to be a timer, and she'll let you know when you have about 30 seconds left. Please remember that the intent of citizens' comments is for you, the citizens, to get to speak, and for us, the committee, to get the opportunity to listen. So it's not a back and forth, it's not a dialogue or a debate. It's an opportunity for the citizens to be heard. I encourage and ask citizens to keep your comments to topics that are within the purview of the school committee. I think it looks like there's definitely at least one person in the room who's ready to speak. So I think we'll start in the room. I'm just going to make sure that our committee member who's online, I'm going to just make sure, can you, Mr. Austin, could you just do a little testing to make sure that Julia
Hello,
can hear
me?
Julia, are you able to hear the speaker? Okay, excellent. Okay. All right.
Jeff Austin, AUSTIN, Hamilton resident. The votes have been counted yet again. My hope is that after a period of closure and reflection, we can come together as one community to do right by both the students and our taxpayers. We must shift our focus to MSBA-supported renovation plans that meet the needs across all grades while respecting the financial needs of all residents. Much of the community have serious concerns about the current school committee leadership and their ability to make good faith decisions moving forward, both in a way that's fiscally responsible and community driven. These concerns are rooted in a flawed education plan designed only for consolidation and repeated misinformation about MSBA available options. While the superintendent bears some responsibility, the school committee directs and oversees that work and must be held accountable for both the outcome and the cost. This project failed because the school committee ignored early opportunities to pivot. Instead, $1.25 million in taxpayer funds were spent on the feasibility study, marketing, and multiple town meetings that deepened division rather than build consensus. That responsibility lies within this school committee. For that reason, I must say what many residents are already saying. The community has lost confidence in several members of this school committee. Aside from Mr. Franklin and Mr. Honda, who consistently called for greater scrutiny and alternatives, the majority of the school committee consistently failed to respect the will of the people. To be clear and direct, the leadership of Dana Alera, Amy Kuhnberger, Julia Campbell, Jennifer Carr, and David Polito has lost the confidence of the community. Public trust is the currency of governments. By your actions, you've bankrupted that trust. Given this reality, the only responsible course of action is for you to resign from your positions of our school committee. This is not said lightly, but with the recognition that our district deserves leadership that is trusted, transparent, responsive, and has a sense of integrity. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks, Mr. Tracy, does it look like we have anyone on Zoom that wants to speak?
I have people, I'm just waiting, I've been messaging.
Yeah, it
people.
sounds like we've got a little bit of, maybe some people are not muted on Zoom.
They are now, yeah.
I think, yeah, so,
Just trying to keep up.
Can you turn the water off a little bit?
yeah, so let's maybe work with that, and we'll stick with the people in the room for the moment. Okay, welcome.
So far, no.
Good evening. My name is Ed McCarthy at 60 Cunningham Drive. And I wasn't going to speak tonight. I promised my wife I wouldn't. I love her to pieces, but it's time to look forward. We could all stand up here and rehash the last 3 years, but personally, I don't feel it would be constructive to do so. I think it's time for a new beginning and to take some of the ideas and the suggestions. I want to say this in a respectful way. You are educators, and I know that you are good educators because I have 2 children that went through the system, and you did a wonderful job with them. So as educators, I respect your talents and I respect what you do, but you're not building managers, you're not facilities people. I don't know, some of you do have some facilities background, but we do need to bring in people to the committee to bring facilities knowledge. I mean, we have so many buildings. We have, what, 13, 14 grades. We have all these facilities, and we need people with that talent to help steer you in the right direction. I proposed different ideas, and I spoke many times about buildings and renovation and upgrades. I spent my whole life doing it. I spent 50 years with the tools, running projects, running upgrades, running modifications, equipment modifications, power plants, schools, and I know what can be done on that front. And it just was frustrating to me to listen that all these ideas were just pushed aside. So I think it's time for a new beginning. We can incrementally repair, fix, repair, and make the schools what they should be. My kids got a good education, and I want to see other children in town through small personal schools have a great education also. And thank you for all your hard work. We've just got to turn this in a new direction, in a positive direction, and the past is the past. It's time to move forward. Thank you all, and thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
I have a couple online if you want to switch.
All right, it does look like we have a couple of people on Zoom, so we'll go ahead and make sure.
Hi, Martha, you're next.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm solo parenting. This is Marta Minetian, MartaMinnetyan. I'm at 110 Railroad Ave, Hamilton. I wanted to thank you all for the time you spent trying to improve our schools in a way that would benefit the most number of students and teachers as possible, as soon as possible. So many of us parents really appreciated the superintendent's update from Tuesday morning. It's more important now than ever that we all hear that message and let it sink in that the superintendent and the school committee members learned valuable lessons and heard important perspectives from voters, citizens with varying viewpoints and priorities. We don't have to agree to be kind, respectful, and follow your lead of creating that positive path forward. We need to hold ourselves all accountable for setting the best example we can for our kids and all the kids of our school community, for being as optimistic as we possibly can for them, and let the all-volunteer school committee members and our superintendent shape that positive path forward to which they're also dedicated. Thank you.
My brother's died. My mother needs me for the harvest. Here needs you for. 6 months of service. Telegraph operator at the anti-aircraft portion. And you let me see.
Let's figure out who's not muted.
I got it.
And then, I don't know, it looked like that person didn't have their camera on, but if they do have their camera on, let's pull it so that we can see them if they are choosing to be seen.
Natalie is online.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Natalie.
Natalie, you're up next.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I want to just echo what Marta just said, and I want to thank all of you for being in the hot spot tonight. I'm sure there's a crowd there, and I thank you for your time and your volunteer hours and the genuine thought and care and all the years that went into the school vote. So I just want to thank you. I wanted to make public comment tonight to acknowledge and thank David Polito for his tireless volunteer support, advocacy, and institutional knowledge of the district that he contributes to the school committee. I trust David Polito that he gives a fair hearing to all sides and that he has the district's and the students' best interest in mind. I might not always agree with his stance on certain issues, but I do trust that he's done his homework, talked to constituents, and does weigh his school committee votes seriously. I'm glad that he continues to throw his hat in the ring each time his school committee seat is up, and to show this level of continuity and dedication to our district, especially when the vitriol in town rises, is a testament to his genuine care and commitment to our students and families. I ask that his peers on the school committee and Superintendent Tracy not be moved by the reckless vitriol and temperature exhibited by one special interest group in town that does not honor our First Amendment right to speak freely and to express our ideas and opinions without government censorship. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. It looks like there's no one right now in line on Zoom, is that right?
Not yet, I'm going to send one more message.
Okay. Why don't we take a couple more comments in the room and then we'll check back in with Zoom and see where we are at that point. Welcome.
Hi, Deb Safford from Maple Street. I came today because I just want to make sure that the no is going to be heard this time. The last few times the no's, one with the supermajority not being met, there was a new plan, and I just wanted to make sure that the no is actually a no. It's been a long time, and it's been seemingly contentious because I feel sometimes like we get up here and speak and we just get blank faces and the whole committee just does what it wants to do. And I think it was even, it might have been Amy, I'm not sure who it was, said, we're going to vote for this plan even though all of you people are here saying no, because I think that the people who aren't here are the majority and they're saying yes. And so I just want to acknowledge that that was not a reasonable response. For the people that show up are sacrificing their own time, just like you guys are, to come and speak. And it's hard to speak against what is perceived as the majority, but actually we were a silent majority. And I just hope that this committee, which was all for doing whatever it took to get another vote passed because you were so confident that it was the right thing to do, that you guys will be able to pivot, that you guys will be able to not sabotage a new plan that can renovate small build. I think the community has said really clearly it does not want a large mega school. And I'm just hoping that this committee can stop being adversarial with those of us that spend a lot of time in front of you, giving a different perspective. We try to do it respectfully. So I think it's important, you know, we're not yelling, we're just coming with our pleas and our concerns. And I would like reassurance from this committee, if this is going to be the committee, that the place that's vacated would be filled by someone who is of a different perspective, so that there can be some balance to what's being heard on this committee, especially as we need to move forward and do what's right. For 2 years, we have said, please don't just give us this one choice. It's not going to be a yes, consolidate means you love the kids in the school, and a no means that you don't. That's a very divisive way. You can say no and still want better schools, something good for the kids. We just have a different view of it. And I think it's really important that this view be represented.
30 seconds.
Okay, and I think you can start by renewing the lease on Winthrop. I think that was a strategy that's been in play for a long time by power players in Hamilton to free up that property, and that's what drove the whole consolidation agenda way before the feasibility study. So you can renew trust with the community by starting to renew Winthrop and develop a committee and replace Mr. Polito with someone who is of a different persuasion and perspective, and I hope that there would be balance. Thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you. So let's do one more in the room, then we'll check in with Zoom, see what's going on. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Marissa Politis, Politis, Beach Street. I live on 54 Beach Street. So I wanted to come here in person just to show you my support. I believe that you have all acted in good faith and have made decisions to the best of your abilities with the input that you had available to you and the variables that you have to work with. The work you're doing is difficult work with many moving parts and tough decisions that you have to be weighing, as well as all sorts of legal implications of what you can and cannot say or do, or how you are held to those standards. I commend you all and thank you for taking it on. I wish you perseverance and patience as you navigate these next steps. I know that it won't be easy to step back and start all over again, and I see that that's exactly where we are. I don't envy your position in this, and I hope that we all would take a beat and remember that we are a community and we should be acting as a community to make sure that we're doing what's best for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's check in with Zoom. I don't see any hands raised. Okay. If that's the case, I think what I'd like to do is close the comments on Zoom and let them know that that's the end of comments on Zoom. We good, you think?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So it's about, I'm definitely going to let the speaker who's at the podium, I'm definitely going to let you speak, and we'll see if there are a couple more, and then we're going to check in and see where we are. We normally go about 20 minutes or so at citizens' comments, and it is also at the discretion of the committee. If we feel like there are more people that need to speak, we'll allow a little bit more time. So, welcome.
I'm sorry. I just want to tell people are trying to access YouTube link. It's not working. The HWCam link is working if people want to watch it. I'm just trying to get a message out to people, and only the people in the waiting room would get it.
Okay.
Sorry
for all that.
That's okay. Edward Flynn, 2 Sias Lane. And I wasn't actually going to say anything tonight, so I don't have anything really prepared, but I have been thinking that with the all-out effort by the school committee to pass the consolidated schools as many times as we have, and I know everyone talks about how many times we have, but the 2 special town meetings, and then a ballot vote, and all 3 times it was a no. It seems to me that that's as close to, can you hear me? Because I can't, okay, thank you. I think that's about as close to a non-parliamentary vote of no confidence as you could get. So I know that Jeff had mentioned that you should resign. My best guess is that you probably won't. I would suggest that you search your conscience later and think about that. I think you put everything was all in on this, and the town rejected it. And of course, 80 years ago, everyone would have resigned. And I know the times have changed, and people don't do that anymore. And that's enough about that. There are certain things and criteria that the entire town wants to get done right away. We want to make our schools shooter-proof. I'm not sure what the correct term is, but I don't know if we have to put police officers or what do we have to do. It's up to you guys, but we need to do something immediately to strengthen our schools today, like tomorrow. I wanted to see plexiglass going up tomorrow. Everyone does. That's something that everyone could agree on if you guys decide to stay on. And I'm sure there are other things. And I just want to leave one more thing. In order for you guys to gain back some credibility, and I haven't talked to them about this, I have not, but to see someone like Jeff Austin come on to the school committee who you don't like, he's a completely different voice from anything that you've had in the past, but he's still a minority of the majority. I think that you should strongly think about doing that as a sort of a hand stretched out to the people of the town to say, we heard you, we're listening. Jeff was very, very active, as you know, and made really nice arguments. He doesn't get personal. He keeps things professional. He's very fact-based gentleman, and to at least have someone
30 seconds.
Thank you. Someone from that school of thought on this board, I would recommend that you, I don't know how you appoint people, but that's what I would do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so hi. So I'm going to just pause quickly, check in with the committee. It's not clear to me about how many more people, and I want to just say part of the reason it's not clear is because this is lovely and respectful and orderly, and I'm very appreciative of that. And so we have one person. I'm going to look to the committee. Let's go about 5 or 6 more minutes, and then I'll check back in with you, and we'll see where we are. Does that sound reasonable to the committee?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, go ahead, welcome.
Hi, my name's Victoria Piper. I live at 179 Highland Street in Hamilton. My family moved into the town in 1972, and I'm somewhat embarrassed to say this is the first time I've represented my family. I just want to say, my son didn't actually start school in Hamilton Wenham until he was in 10th grade. I sent him to a Catholic school. We came over here for 10th grade. I was happy with both experiences. You guys are great. I thank you so much for all the hard work you've done. For the rest of my knowledge, most of you are volunteers, elected. Are you elected? So if you're elected, that means the majority of people in town voted for you. Maybe the majority of people here aren't the ones that voted for you. I'm one of the ones who voted for everybody here. Thank you so much for all of your hard work, and I support everything you've done.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else in the room have any comments? Okay. Seeing none, and we've already closed comments on Zoom, we'll close comments in the room. I do really want to take a moment to say that I'm speaking only for myself, but I'm really pleasantly surprised at how this public comment session went. I'm really, really appreciative of the orderly and respectful way that everyone got up and spoke. I'm grateful for that. I really am. Thank you. I'm sorry, did you want to speak? No, I'm sorry. I thought that everyone had spoken. Oh, okay. So, sorry.
Somebody left.
Okay. And we really are grateful for the comments. It's important to hear from people. All right, so next up we have, the typical order of events here would be that we would have a review of the protocols and the mission statement. I'm going to ask that we skip those only because you'll see it's actually the first item on the new business. We're going to discuss both of those things. So as long as that's okay with the committee, we're going to just
Yeah, that's fine.
skip that. Julia, all right. Next up, our student representative is not here this evening. They will be here at another time.
I realize you closed. I just want to ask a simple question. The contradict everything stated. Is David Polito still a member of the school board?
So, okay, so normally, just to be clear, I really normally don't take questions, but as I stated, I'll read it again at the beginning of the meeting. David Polito has resigned his seat from the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School Committee. We thank David for his years of service and we wish him well. Okay?
Dana, the only other thing, can I just suggest, since it was suggested that somebody should be nominated to the committee, just to describe it.
I'm going to do that during the chair report.
Okay.
I'm going to explain the
I was
process.
going to say what the process is.
Yep, I'll explain the process. Okay, so again, our student representative is not here this evening. So we will get that report at another date. So Julia is our, I believe, our assistant secretary.
Yep.
I'm going to just say it might be easier if it were someone in the room. Would you mind doing that, Jen? Thank you. Does anyone have any items from the consent agenda that they would like to have held?
Not me.
Seeing none.
Do you want me to read the motions, or is it easier to have someone?
I think it's easier if we have someone in the room.
In the room,
Yeah, so
okay.
Jen
I'm
is going
sorry
to do
about
it.
that.
Yep, no, that's fine. Jen's going to do it. All right,
I
Jen.
move that we accept the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Second by Amy Kumberger. All right, I'm going to start with Julia.
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Dana's yes. Amy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
And that is unanimous of the 6 members present, and that passes. Okay. So, as I stated earlier, we skipped our usual review of the committee protocols and the mission statement because they're actually here in our new business. So the first item here is a discussion of ethics policy and protocols. We review and affirm the protocols annually. I added the ethics policy and this is the normal time that we would do that. I added the ethics policy for discussion purposes as it helps to inform our protocols. The intent of this agenda item and this discussion is to have a forward-looking conversation. As we discuss, I want both the committee and the community to remember that committee members, each of us, all of us, are both members of the committee and individuals. I want to reflect that it's not easy, is not always easy, for members of the community to identify when committee members are acting in our individual role or as separate from from the committee role. So, I want to open to the committee a discussion. We could start with either one. Like I said, the protocols are something that we review annually. I hope that people have had the opportunity to reflect and spent some time thinking and reflecting about these protocols and the ethics policy. And I'm open to any conversation that people might have on the committee.
I can start, Dana.
Julia.
I really like both of these documents. I want to start with the school committee member ethics, if all of you can hear me. Yep. I think what's so interesting about our role as school committee members is that we are elected officials, but our primary responsibility is to the children. And so I actually think that it's kind of, I mean, it's interesting. It's hard for people to understand that, but I know I take my role as my primary responsibility to the children very seriously. So I love that it's the first piece of this listed in the school committee member ethics. I didn't really disagree with any of it. I just wanted to point that out because I think it's really important. I also think both of these documents are incredibly informative, especially for the general public or anyone else that's not entirely sure what we do, or might want to get involved in the school committee and maybe run. So I actually am really excited to be a part of voting on these, because I think that they are very comprehensive, very well written, and I just wanted to make it very clear that I take this very seriously, and I love that the primary responsibility is to the children is highlighted and called out in the very first document.
Thank you. Anybody else? So Julia opened up with the policy BCA, the policy number name BCA, school committee member ethics. Does anyone else, let's stick with that. Does anyone else have any comments, questions, clarifications about this document?
No, the ethics one I like.
What was that?
The ethics one that I like.
Excellent. Okay. All right.
Would it be possible to clearly delineate somewhere in this document the primary functions of the school committee?
In which document?
The ethics document,
In the ethics document?
right? We set the budget, we set policy, and we review the superintendent.
So that's a great question, and it's something, to be clear, we would, because this is a policy which is separate from our procedures, if we were to change anything about the policy, this would be the place to discuss and generate ideas, and then it would go to the policy. So that's a question for the policy subcommittee. I wonder, and other people could answer, but definitely there are other places in which the school committee responsibilities, other places in our various policies where that is outlined. So
I agree. I just think if people are reviewing our policies, I want it stated in as many places as possible to make it crystal clear.
yeah. So I understand your question is whether the responsibilities should belong here. All right. Does anyone have any comments on what they think about that?
I understand the sentiment for sure, because sometimes it's hard to, there's so many things that we vote on and that we discuss, but like those three things are within, that's what we're discussing. I like the idea of keeping that as an umbrella, as a reminder for people. I just wonder which policy does it belong on, which doesn't it, and maybe it's the letterhead. We always have it at the top, but that's something we could take back to policy subcommittee and talk about.
I also would be curious to Jen's point is, and I don't actually know, this policy was, reviewed and adopted not that many years ago in 2021. And I don't know, and I don't know whether policy would know, some of our policies are adopted sort of that are created at a higher level and we adopt them, and some of them are things that we wrote ourselves. And I actually don't know about this policy specifically, whether we wrote it ourselves or not, but that would be something interesting to look at. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. I do, to your point, I actually like, to Jen's, I do like the structure of this document, that it is clearly, and that is where I hear you sort of saying it would be nice to sort of delineate that structure about our responsibilities as well. So, all right, other comments or questions about this document?
Nope. None about that.
Jen, do you have, I mean, we can talk about, I don't know whether we need a motion or a vote. If it's okay, let's wait till the end. Like, if we want to ask policy, if they want to review, that's something you could choose to make a motion on it if you wanted to.
We're down to 2 members now.
Correct, yes, we'll address that later in the meeting. Okay,
I looked it up really quickly. It seems to be the same policy as adopted from MSCA.
okay.
Okay,
Okay.
then let's leave it alone.
MASC,
Right, so, right, and that was just to my question, whether some of our policies are kind of standard MASC policies and some of them are written specifically for Hamilton Wenham. Okay, so we'll think about that. Are people ready to move on to the protocols?
Yep.
Okay,
I am.
okay. I guess I didn't sort of call on myself. I guess I just want to say I did spend a lot of time with this document. I am comfortable with the document. I think there's a lot of, it provides a good guideline for committee members and a good guideline for the community to read and understand what the ethics expectations are on the committee. All right.
Yeah, I'll just say,
yep,
as the newest member,
yes,
I found it very helpful and informative for me, so I liked it.
Thank you. The protocols, let's pull those up.
Hold on.
So these protocols, everyone on the committee should be exceedingly familiar with them because we read a portion of them at the beginning of every meeting, and we have done so for several years now. Oh, I have the wrong thing pulled up. Hold on.
And this draft has not changed in any way from the previous years?
Correct. This draft, other than,
Date changes.
Other than the date change,
Yep,
correct.
right.
There's no edits. This is the opportunity here to have a discussion around whether there are, and this, again, like, I don't know if you have specific questions, concerns, but this is the opportunity to have a discussion around them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't sign it last year for one reason. It seemed to me that it called for basically prohibiting dissent, ongoing dissent against whatever.
So which item would you like to look at?
I didn't go back and take a look at how to change it. Go right ahead and I'll track it down.
Okay, sure. Does anyone else have any things to say about this particular document?
No, I don't.
Julia? No?
Yeah, I think what I would say is, I think it's just important. I mean, there's nothing in this document that says, that we all have to vote together, or, you know what I mean? We're not responsible for how every other member of the committee votes. Like, the way I think about it is, as elected officials, it's like Congress, like, not everyone's going to agree. And not every, people are going to be advocating for different things at different times, and everyone's going to sort of have their different priorities. So what I like about this document is that I think it's a good overview of how we should act, but it's not giving us restrictions on our personal views and the way we are personally voting, or like the way we're maybe as a citizen personally talking about an issue. Does that make sense?
I agree with that.
Anybody else?
Yeah,
I know I'm coming back to you.
Yeah. I'll just give you the wording.
Sure. Which item are you looking at?
It's item 8.
8. So we're looking at item 8. And I'm going to school committee members will vote according to their convictions, will avoid bias, and will uphold and support the decisions of the majority of the committee once a decision has been made. Positions will not be used for personal or partisan gain. Okay?
Yeah, the problematic, or at least how I interpret it, was will uphold. It's not the vote. It's what the discussion is between meetings. that...
I don't know what that means. What do you mean not, I'm sorry, just be
Well,
clear.
we'll uphold and support the decisions of the majority of the committee once a decision is made, which seems to me to preclude dissent.
So...
Based on that wording.
Yeah, so my understanding, and other people can, and our guidance and our training from the MASC and other, is that once a vote of the committee has been taken, that if a member is representing the school committee,
that's true.
they need to represent that position. So I'm going to use a real-life example.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a vote in spring to make a decision regarding the new school buses.
Yep.
It was not a unanimous decision. Every member of us, if we went forward before another board and they wanted to ask about the school bus and they wanted to ask a question, you would need to say the school committee supported this bus contract.
Sure.
Because that's what happened. And I think, in my opinion, the point about support would be that each and every one of us should work to support the success of that vote. So that the committee, all of us, would need to support success in that vote, whether or not you voted for this particular contract. So that's how I read it. I wonder.
Can I say something? Can I say something else? I think support doesn't necessarily mean saying I'm for it. It just means maybe not being detrimental after the fact, or I don't know.
Interfere with the execution, yeah. No, I
What was that?
should not interfere with the execution of it, and I would agree with that.
Right, and I think that's what I was trying to get at, and in my, but I do think this is a really important, I think it's very, very nuanced about when a person speaking as an individual, can talk about, I understand your, I do really genuinely do, and I think this is hard. So I don't know if there's anything that got said yet, or if other people have more. Is there anything that you're thinking in terms of like that would make this item clearer?
Well, I suppose you could add one sentence that said to something to the effect that dissent, if you are going to dissent from a decision, it should be made very clear that it is a personal point of view and not the view of the committee. Something along those lines.
Makes sense.
Which is in practice what we've been doing.
It is, and that's a hard one because, people know that we sit on this committee, so when we give a personal statement that says this doesn't reflect the committee, it still has some tie to the committee, but, everyone is allowed to their own opinion. So I feel like that's kind of the best we can do in this situation.
I'm really glad, actually, that you while I didn't call out this particular item, I don't know, like, at the beginning, I really tried to say that, and maybe I even stumbled over it because it's a lot, but I tried to sort of frame this whole conversation by saying it's not always easy for members of the community to identify when we're acting in our individual role or in our committee role. And I worded that pretty intentionally. My goal was to have that be heard both directions. To be, if you are a committee member, to hear that, like, it's hard for the community to know whether you're representing the school committee or not. And I also meant for community members to hear that it's hard to, unless you're in the weeds, it's hard to know, even when sometimes a school committee member is trying to make it clear that they're speaking as an individual. I wanted that to read both ways, that, like, it's a challenge. So I'm glad you brought this particular item up because I think it's really difficult.
Yeah, I'll just say, this conversation has actually been helpful for me because I kind of interpreted it as a little bit differently, right? And so hearing that it is okay for us to have individual perspectives, right, that represent our own personal views and still speak about that. I approached it as, in my work life, as a leader of a team, if a decision is made that I don't necessarily agree with, it's my job as the leader of that team to be the cheerleader of that decision, right? If my boss made that decision or a team of my colleagues made that decision. So this is, I guess, for me, a learning example is the difference between my corporate America work life and this role.
And again, I think that's where that word support, it's a difficult thing because in some ways, ideally you want the schools to succeed and you want the system to succeed. And so in some ways, yes, you're, as a committee member, if you are speaking in your role as a committee member, I would say, yes, you either do need to be a cheerleader or be silent. But if you're speaking on a vote that we've taken, like in other words, on a vote that's been taken and approved, and you don't give up your right to be an individual. People check me on that. Am I making?
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Right, but, so yes, I would say it's not that different than work in the sense that if you are speaking as a school committee member, if you are invited to speak before a different board or a committee or something like that, and that it would be your job to be a cheerleader of a particular committee decision, but if you weren't able to do that, then it would be best for you not to speak to the issue.
Yeah.
And that doesn't preclude you in your personal life from doing something.
We don't sign away our First Amendment rights when we get elected.
That's right. Oh, well, I don't know. It's very nuanced. It's nuanced.
It's very nuanced. It's, I'm sorry, I feel like I've done a lot of talking. No?
I don't have much more to add.
I'm wondering, there's no urgency, these are in place now, there's no urgency. I heard a member make a suggestion. I heard a different member make a suggestion or question about the policy, which is different. I'm wondering, and I don't want to put work on you if you don't want to do it, David, but are you willing to sort of craft something that you would be interested in changing?
Sure.
And bringing it back for next meeting?
Sure.
And then we can have a discussion and a vote. And I guess I would ask any other members if there are any other items that we didn't discuss, either please bring them up now or, ahead of our meeting, come prepared with draft language that you actually, if you feel like something needs to be stricken or added to. So we can add that to the next meeting if people are comfortable with that.
Yep.
Okay. My 2 cents on this, I am not proposing a change, but my 2 cents is, this is a very long and document, and I sort of feel like it could be pared down if we were going to be doing a week-long workshop on it. It's not what I want to spend. I think it could be shorter. I think it could be more concise. That's not where I'm interested in putting my sort of energy. But that is that someday it might be worth making this more clear and more readable. Part of the reason I think it's good to read a little bit of it at each meeting is so that it is broken down into smaller pieces, so that, all right, anybody else have anything on this? Okay, so I'm happy to bring that back next meeting if people are comfortable with that. Jen, did you have, or anyone else, did you have any motion that you wanted to make, or? Anyone else?
No,
Yep,
I'll
next
bring
week,
it back.
or
yeah.
next time. Okay. Next up, the election results. I'm gonna let Eric put that up on the screen. So these are the official results. Unlike a school committee member election where we have to read all the numbers, I don't feel like we need to do that. This is the results. The vote was on the elementary school building project, did not reach the majority threshold, and the vote did not pass by the voters of Hamilton and Wenham. Eric, do you have any, you want to talk about the end of the eligibility, the extension period?
Sure. The extension period was granted for 90 days, which brings us, to, I believe it was September 24th. I have
24th.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I have communicated with our contact at the MSBA. Next steps for us is just to submit a formal withdrawal notification to the MSBA. That's part of their paperwork, checking the boxes off, so we'll do that. They need that by next Wednesday so that they can process it for their October board meeting, and then we'll submit it to them, they'll put it on their board, and they'll vote it in their October board meeting.
All right, and that's something that I believe I saw the email. It's just something that you can create. You don't need any action from this committee.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Anybody have any questions?
Comment. I thought I was going over all the numbers of all the votes we've taken. What happened, it seems to me, is back in April, 1,457 people voted. When they voted again in June, 2,248 people voted. But the vote, this town-wide vote, was much more inclusive. It was 3,566 people voted. But also, not at all coincidental, the survey back in a year ago, well, more than a year ago, in June of last year, predicted 55% would vote no in Hamilton, and 47% would vote no in Wenham, and the actual result is incredibly close. It was like 54.42% versus 55% is like so far within the margin of error. It's astonished me, actually. And the 48.8% of the actual vote compared to 47%. So it was, for our own future reference, in spite of it seeming like impossible with that size sample to be close, it was unbelievably close, and predicted that one could argue that we could, if we'd accepted it as fact at the time, which was hard to do, we might have thought differently about what we proceeded with, actually. But it's good to know that you can have that sort of size sample and the methodology worked sufficiently to be that close.
Other people? Okay. All right, Eric, did you have anything else?
That's all.
Okay. All right, the next item is the MASC holds a conference every year.
November 12th to 14th.
Thank you, I wrote it down. So, right here, November 12th to 14th is this year's conference. There's sort of two things that happen. I've attended the conference a few times. I don't know that anybody else here has ever been.
No, I haven't.
So I've been a few times. Two different things happen. It's a great conference. Two different things happen. One is that there are lots of different sessions that you can go to, and you just can choose which topics are of interest to you. They're all related to school committee and what different school committees are doing, and challenges of being on a school committee, and like all kinds of topics around being on a school committee. And it's actually a lot more fun than it sounds. It really is a great conference. I've enjoyed it a lot. The other thing that happens at that, it's usually at the end, is that each school committee in Massachusetts has an opportunity to send a delegate to go. Then the MASC proposes some resolutions, and the delegate gets to vote on those resolutions, and it's about sort of how the MASC is going to present various resolutions that they want to put forward. So at this point, I don't know, I've sort of said that there is a possibility that I'm going to go. I'm looking into it. I know that David Frankel has mentioned that he might go.
Mm-hmm.
I think both of us are a maybe. I don't know if anyone else is thinking that they might attend.
I would love to go.
No, it's during the week. It's,
During the week,
there's a
yeah.
lot of things about it that are difficult.
I mean, it's like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving.
No,
and
it's,
then, you know,
exactly.
Yeah, there's,
The reason that I want to bring it up now is that that we have some time before you need to sign up, but they really are asking for the potential delegate. And this year, which they did not used to have, and now they do, is that you can designate an alternate
oh, nice, okay.
delegate. So I'm bringing this before you, just to be clear, that not mostly for Megan's benefit, who hasn't done this before, that delegate wouldn't be making decisions on their own unless tasked to do so by this committee. So what we would do is if someone is in fact going, we would review the resolutions here, and the committee would vote and tell the delegate how to vote. Or at times, this committee might decide to tell the delegate that they can use their own judgment. So sometimes there's a resolution that the committee is like, we need more information on that, or they could tell the delegate to abstain. So it's the role of the delegate is really just to kind of, as we just discussed, this is actually an excellent example of the item that we just discussed. If you were selected to be the delegate and the committee directed you to vote in a certain way, and you were in the minority and you did not vote, you would be required as the delegate to vote the way the committee told you to vote, even though you didn't agree. It's an excellent example. But you would not be, to Megan's point, you would not be required, it's like a regular school committee meeting where people can get up and make comments at the, just like we do here. You would not be required to get up and be a cheerleader for that item unless this committee directly told you had to. So,
yeah, fair.
Example.
Excellent, all right. That was all a lead up to say that they require us to tell us who the potential delegates might be. So, given that we have 2 potential people who might go and possibly no one who will go, I propose, I guess, whether anybody wants to make a nomination for a delegate and or an alternate delegate.
So we make nominations or appointments?
I guess it's just a motion, I guess.
Oh, okay. I move that we nominate Dana Alara as our delegate at the conference and David Frankel as an alternate at the conference.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr. So I don't know whether we need to accept, like, if I were there, I guess I would accept that.
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
Are there any other, well, I guess that was a motion, so we have to, and it was seconded. All right, is there discussion?
No.
It looks like we're ready to vote. David Frankel.
Yes.
Amy.
Yes.
Dana's yes. Jen.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Julia.
Yes.
All right, and that is unanimous, and the motion passes. Okay. Moving along to the mission statement. So I guess I should have put this maybe right under that. I don't know. Sorry. Maybe the order's a little wonky.
It was confusing with them all.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's good to split them up.
Yep. Similarly, this is created by the committee. It has changed over the years a little bit here and there. It's been modified. This is not different from last year, but this draft is only different in the date. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or thoughts about the mission statement?
I think it's too long, but apart from that.
Is it too long?
And I think the first paragraph captures the essential spirit of it. You could massage that a little and not really go through a laundry list of all the rest.
I mean, I think that's fair. I'm reflecting upon Julia's comments earlier about how students, right, is like our main priority. And I think the first paragraph captures that. I think my only comment was going to be, the students are the 4th bullet here. So if we were to keep this length of a mission statement, move it up perhaps.
The
okay.
well, Yeah, I guess the wording ensure our school creates graduates being implicitly students.
Well, yeah, I was saying so if we cut the rest,
Yeah.
the first paragraph encapsulates it perfectly.
Yeah.
And I would be fine with cutting it. But if we didn't, I would love to move bullet 4 up.
Oh, fair.
I understand. So you're just saying,
Yep.
I understand. So the first bullet would be inspires all students to realize their fullest potential and feel a powerful sense of individual and collective belonging, if we chose to keep
If
those.
we, I'm also okay with it as written. I'm also okay with it.
Fair.
Other people?
I like the way it's written only because the bullet points show the different ways that we can achieve the opening paragraph. I like to have the statement kind of be a guiding light when making decisions. So I like what's in here. Touch on the community, students, teachers, administrators, superintendent. I like that.
Other people? I
like the bullet points because I think it does incorporate all of the individuals in the community, the schools, the administrators, and the teachers. And I think that's important. I agree with Amy.
Okay. Julia, did you have any comments?
No, I think it's great. I actually really support it.
I agree with David that it's too long. And I find that even though I think it's too long as a mission statement, I've found, to what Amy just said, that I do refer to it and look at those bullet points. So I guess I come down on that. I prefer to keep it, while I think your point is true, that it's too long as a mission statement. And I guess maybe Megan echoed that as well. So I heard it was too long, and I heard a thought about moving bullet point number 4.
We also don't have.
Does anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we accept, I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept the 2025 to 2026 school committee mission statement as written.
Second.
Second by Jen Carr.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to move it.
Is there any discussion?
I would move an amendment.
Sure. Is it a friendly amendment or it's just an amendment?
I think it's a friendly amendment.
Okay.
That we move the second last paragraph to being the top of the bullet.
Okay. So a friendly amendment is one in which you, who made the motion, could say that I'm open to that, or you could say no, that you're not.
I'm open to that.
Yep, sure. Okay. All right. Does everyone understand what the amended motion is?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there discussion on the amended motion?
How would we phrase that? Because that's not quite a full sentence in and of itself, but if we're putting in a paragraph, we're going to have to change the wording.
I don't think that the motion was to put it in a paragraph. My understanding of the motion was that, and correct me if I'm wrong, was just to move the bullet point that says inspired all students to realize their fullest potential, just move it to the top bullet point. That was my
I
understanding.
thought they wanted it in the amendment was to put it in the first
No,
paragraph.
just to the top of the list.
Yeah, just to the top of the list.
Oh, okay.
That was my understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. That was,
Was that the
exactly what it
intent?
was.
That's fine.
All right. All right. Anybody have anything else? Looks like we might be ready to vote. All right. I'm going to start with Megan.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Tina's a yes. Amy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Julia?
Yes.
Okay, and the motion passes 6-0. Okay.
That was the vote on the amendment, correct?
No, it was a friendly amendment, so it was a vote on the
Okay,
whole.
so we
She
didn't-
accepted
okay.
it.
Thank
She
you.
accepted the
I'm
amendment.
tired.
No, that's okay. It's challenging. All right, next to you, Eric.
So the Northeast Consortium is run by a board of 20 superintendents who are all members of the consortium. The consortium, if you don't remember, is the group that is one of our out-of-district contacts. Our membership gives us reduced opportunities, reduced costs, expenses to send kids to specific programs that they may need via their IEP, disability, etc. This is a new thing that they've been asked to do by their accrediting agency. Well, it's actually through the state. They get a state review, and the state said school committees should be just appointing the superintendents, even though they are all on the board automatically. They want the superintendents, the school committees to be more involved in the process. So you'll see this plus at least 3 other items that will come through the year that the Northeast Consortium is asked to put on local school committee agendas. So this is the first of 4, but there'll be 3 others, including their annual report, which we usually do.
We usually do that anyway.
Yep.
All right, let's, if you're willing to start with a motion, if you have one.
I move that we appoint Superintendent Tracy to the NEC as a board member.
Second.
Second by Megan. All right, does anyone have any further questions, discussion? Okay. Julia?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Anna's yes. Amy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
That is, the motion passes 6-0. Okay. Next up is an update of committee liaisons. We have a few vacancies. Thank you, Eric.
And one correction, I think somehow or other, I ended up being on the wellness committee for multiple wellness committee meetings, and I never saw Julia there, so I'm wondering whether that's in fact correct. In that
You're saying this is inaccurate? That you're?
It is.
I think you're correct that that is. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, David.
Can we look? I think it's correct on the website. Am I wrong? I'm trying to pull it up. Hold on. One second. Oh, no, it is incorrect on the website. Okay.
David was appointed last year.
Yeah, Julia, is that your understanding too, that you're not the wellness committee liaison?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And Bucher, yes.
So I would say that's just an error on the website. That's just, yes, so that just needs to be fixed. Okay. So the vacancies here are Milesville Middle School, Hamilton Select Board, and the Wenham Finance Committee. And, the role of the liaison is, sometimes you're going to be doing a lot, and mostly you're just the contact person. So, that if there's something to report on or a meeting that needs to be, go to, or that kind of thing. If we want to be reaching out for a reason to like the Hamilton Select Board, that's sort of the liaison. It doesn't mean other people can't communicate with them. It's just sort of an official, I don't know if anyone has anything to add about that or thoughts about what areas.
Are you looking for us to nominate ourselves? Or?
Well, I'm more looking at, obviously, because Megan is new, she's not listed. Oh, you are listed. Oh, you're on capital improvement already. You already got listed. Yes, she already got voted into that.
I did. I was also wondering, in light of recent events, and we will have a new seat to fill.
Yes.
I was wondering if it made sense
to wait.
To table this until we have a new member here.
I don't know what other people think.
That's a good point.
Us from.
It's a valid point in this that,
I'll
leave it to the committee. Do you have a thought?
Yeah, I think if anything, fill the Miles River one, because I think it's important for committee members to at least connect with the Friends groups and attend a Friends meeting, because they have a lot to say too, and it's a good opportunity for committee members to go to the meeting, hear from families and parents that are there, and bring that information back. The other ones can wait because the budget process, as we know, is just starting up in October, so we have some time there.
Yeah.
I would be interested in being the liaison to the middle school.
Okay.
Oh.
I know, you got a lot there.
I know, well, I was thinking maybe I would come off of.
Oh, maybe somebody would want one of those other ones.
But I'm happy to just leave it for, like, if, Eric, you feel like somebody should move on to that seat now, I'm happy to take it, and then when we have a new member and reconvene, we can pull me off of.
It's up to the committee. I mean, you have time to wait.
Yeah. In the meantime, middle school, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, we can put my name in there if that's.
Okay. So I hear one person who's saying they might be interested in the middle school position. So let's talk about that. Anybody else jumping at the middle school liaison position?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I have a vested interest in the middle school. I don't know whether that's good or bad.
Contested liaison department.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I won't fight with you.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight.
I also have a vested interest over there. But yeah, I have a vested interest in all the schools. But I think, to Megan's point, other than filling that vacancy, everything else can kind of wait till we're reconfigured.
All right, I guess, well, I'll leave it to the committee, but I think it makes sense, because we definitely are going to need to bring this back and talk about it, but at the same time, I hear the superintendent saying it's not a bad idea to have a school committee member check in with the Miles River Middle School Friends Group. So, I don't know, it's maybe as simple as that, like, is someone willing to check in with Miles River?
Yeah.
Before our next meeting, is someone willing to just touch base with the Miles River Middle School?
Is the school building committee now completely defunct? Because that's not mentioned.
It ends with the process.
So, is there some opportunity to create a work group to kind of work through how we're going to move forward in terms of the general description of improving all or most or all of the schools? And the scope of that and so forth.
That's a gigantic question.
Yeah.
Yes, all kinds of things are possible. I'm going to say that doesn't really fall under the category that we have in front of us.
Can we table that, because we didn't put that on the agenda?
Yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm saying, is it's not within this, it's not within this agenda item.
People don't know about it.
It sounds to me like that's a topic for a future meeting, is like,
Well, just from retirement, so yeah, for the next meeting, to come prepared to discuss possible structure, possible process.
But that's not a liaison position. So
No,
to Jen's point, I think that doesn't
right, and
belong.
that's actually all I'm saying, is that right now we're talking about liaisons, and so I think we're outside, that question is kind of outside the borders of what we're talking about now. At the end of the meeting, I'm going to ask for topics for future meetings. I think that's an appropriate thing to say there. So I heard somebody talk about, or I heard, do we want, does anyone have a motion regarding the Miles River Middle School?
No.
I move that we nominate Amy Kuhnberger as the Miles Rivers Middle School liaison.
Second.
Okay.
I accept the nomination.
Okay. Does anyone have any further discussion? All right. David?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Dana, yes. Jen?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Julia?
Yes.
All right. With the understanding that when we come back, there's going to need to be, when we fill the vacancy, there's going to need to be a little bit of reshuffling here.
Yeah.
So we'll do that. Do other people want to try to fill the other? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think I said, the motion passes. And the motion passes unanimously. I don't know if people want to fill these others, or we just feel that it's fine for the moment as we begin the budget process. Okay.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
All right, seeing nothing, I think we'll move on. Okay. Next up is, we do need to appoint a school committee secretary. I'll just.
I can do it.
Good way.
I know no one wants me to because I'm terrible about minutes, but I can do it. I'll be better.
All right, that was a ring.
I've done it, so.
Anyone else interested in being the secretary?
If anyone's interested, by all means, but I don't want anyone to feel like they have to do it.
I'll nominate Julia.
You want to nominate
Okay,
Julia?
I heard a nomination for Julia.
I second that
And
nomination.
a second by Amy. Is there any further discussion? Okay, Megan?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Dana's a yes. Amy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Julia?
Yes.
Congratulations, Julia. The motion passed.
Easy done.
Thanks, Julia.
Since Julia's now the secretary, do we also have to nominate a new assistant?
Yes,
Yes.
we do. Yes.
I can do that. For when Julia can't be here.
Okay. Do we have any nominations?
I nominate Jen Carr to be the assistant secretary.
Sure, I'll second that.
Second by David Frankel. Is there any further discussion? All right, I'm going to start with you, Julia.
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Dana's yes. Amy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Okay. And that is unanimous, and the motion passes. Okay. Next up, Vinny with the budget calendar.
Okay, so I have some sad news. The budget season has begun. And I'm here to present to you the first glimpse of our budget calendar. Now attached to the exhibit is the full calendar. I'm just trying to move this over to display. How come it's not showing?
Is that
Okay, we're happier with that
new director
picture.
of finance?
I know, I gotta drag it over. Hopefully this works. It does, okay. So for those of you who have been involved in the budget process before, our budget calendar always revolves around the annual town meeting. That's kind of what sets the anchor for the budget calendar process, and then we work backwards from there. So that's really the date we go on, but it's kind of a backward motion from there. So this year's annual town meeting always falls the first Saturday of April, so I highlighted here that is going to be April 4th, 2026. So Mass General Law states that a regional school district must have an approved final budget 45 days prior to town meeting. So if you count backwards from the annual town meeting, it gets you to February 18th, which is what we are setting up as our backup date for our final budget vote. You always want to have a backup date because things could happen during the final budget process. Hopefully it never happens, but it could fail the school committee's vote, and if we waited till the last day, we obviously wouldn't be within our 45-day limit. So we always try to give ourselves at least one
extra backup meeting in there. So that would be Wednesday, whatever I said there.
February
sorry.
18th.
February 18th. But our final budget vote, we usually do the week before that. So that's going to be Thursday, February 12th. I'm just going to repeat it again. That's for Thursday, February 12th, 2026. Mass General Law also states that it has to be a supermajority of the full committee. So we really would like every school committee member to be there, just to make sure we hit that threshold of the supermajority. So the next step, still working backwards, we look towards our regional agreement that states we have to have a tentative budget approved 30 days prior to our final budget. So counting backwards again, 30 days from February 12th gets you to Tuesday, January 13th. So we're making our tentative vote Thursday, January 8th. The Thursday right before the 30-day deadline. From there, it usually takes at least 3 additional school committee meetings to work through the budget. Each of those meetings, we set aside a section of the budget to review. This year, we may or may not have the appropriate department heads come in and present to the school committee to help answer any questions about their section. We've dedicated days, and those are outlined in the full calendar outlined on the exhibit. That might change on who comes that day, or if there really isn't any major changes within their department, we might not have them come and present depending on what actually changes throughout the budget process. But nonetheless, we still secure those 3 meetings and still work them into the budget calendar just in case we want to go through that. So counting backwards for those 3 budget meetings means that you guys see the first iteration of the FY27 budget on Thursday, November 20th. So from there, we really try to work in all of the different meetings. We usually have 2 full board, full quintuple board meetings, and then also at least 3 quintuple chair-only meetings. Now, historically, our all-member meetings, we try to do the last one, so that's the second one, sometime between our final budget vote in February and after the tentative budget vote in January. That usually means it's around the MLK week. So for this year, that's going to be Wednesday, January 21st. The second one usually falls the week prior to Thanksgiving, so that's going to be Wednesday, November 19th. And like I said, we all also work in capital meetings in between there. So what we really tried to do this year is kind of set it up kind of in sequence. So we have a capital meeting right before we have a chairs only meeting, right before we have the full all member meeting. So everyone's kind of in line and we're all on the same page communicating the same message. Last year it was a little not as organized as that, and I found that it wasn't as smooth, and sometimes I was updating different groups before I was updating others. So I tried to organize it this way that it flowed a little bit better. One issue I wanted to point out, this did happen last year. Based on the way the calendar falls, the first quintuple board meeting ends up being November 19th. Again, the way the calendar falls this year, this is before the first time you guys are going to see the budget. So if you remember last year, we met with all the boards on Wednesday, and you guys had not seen the budget yet, and I presented it to them. And then you saw the first iteration the following day at the full board meeting. I really don't think that works very smooth. It should really be the reverse. You guys should see the first iteration of the budget, and then we should meet with all members and answer any questions or hear any comments that they have. So what I have one question for you tonight is, I do not want to change it for this budget cycle. We've already set the dates, we've already communicated it. But I would, if it's okay with you and if you agree, at that meeting in November, I would like to ask all the members what they think about delaying this meeting until either the first week in December or the second week in December, just to give you guys the chance to see it before they get to see it, just so you can be more engaged in that first meeting. Now, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think that first meeting, we all agree it's so early in the process. None of these numbers are final. We're really just kind of communicating our major issues in the budget cycle, but nonetheless, it doesn't flow as nice as I would like. So if it's okay with you guys, I might ask what their schedules look like for the first week in December or the second week in December. I really wouldn't want to push it any further than that. If they have most of their board meetings, you know, the first weeks of every month, then maybe we keep it to the week we always do, the week before Thanksgiving, but I at least wanted to hear your thoughts about it and see if it's okay if at that meeting we request that it just gets delayed a week or two, just so it flows a little bit nicer.
Vinny, can I ask a question?
Of course, you can ask.
I do remember that happening last year, and it wasn't ideal.
Yep.
Has that, I don't feel like, was that always the way it was?
So
Like,
if you
because it
rewind
did
the year
happen
bef-
last year.
I think if you rewind to the 3 years ago, they had their meeting in May. They moved their annual town meeting one year to be 1 month later, so it didn't happen that year because we had additional time. If you go back a year before that, you start entering the COVID generation, and everything was just
That makes sense, and that's, and I wasn't here pre-COVID,
Yeah.
so there we go. Okay. Oh. Okay,
did I have anything else to mention?
sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off, I just wanted to.
Nope, I think that was it. So that's the budget cycle. I feel like it flows a little bit better this year, except for that minor issue that, again, it isn't a complete issue. It just doesn't allow it to flow and doesn't allow you guys to engage in that first all board members meeting. But the main thing here tonight is to kind of seek your approval and make sure that the 3 main dates work for the majority of people: the February 12th final budget vote, and then the 2 all-member meetings in January and November.
Well, and I would say again about that February 18th date, that's the backup date.
Yes.
I know that's not, but to be clear, and that is something that, you know, like, in other words, it could be anything could happen. There could be a snowstorm, whatever, a national emergency, like whatever. There could be anything that could prevent us from voting on Thursday, February 12th. So we want to make sure that you have that penciled in as an if needed, but like if needed, you're really going to be needed.
Yep. And the next week, it's not a Thursday, it's a Wednesday. The
Right, it's a
backup date.
Wednesday, and like, I know that, like, so I just want to put that out there, all right. So is everybody taking the moment to look at your calendars?
Yeah, I put some of these dates in already.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it all in here already. I think you've,
Last week, we did mention the 3 major dates, but I wanted everyone to see the chairs-only meetings and the capital meetings in there. There are other benchmarks in the full agenda presentation that I didn't include here, but it's more work done by Eric or myself and doesn't totally involve the board members. But as long as nobody has any major objections, I'll move forward with these dates and send out invites to all of the quintuple board members.
I just wanted to talk to on that February 18th date. I don't know, I guess want to make aware that that is both Ash Wednesday and the first night of Ramadan, which
The backup date is?
The backup is February 18th date. I just want committee members to look at that and make sure that works with
Backup
your
date.
calendar. That's the sort of emergency backup date.
The only meeting I can't make, and I think I already told you this, was the November 12th one.
The full member meeting? I believe
No,
that's
the second chairs meeting. I'll make the first one, but not the second one.
Which is
the
on what?
only one I have to
Which
miss.
one are you, what date are you looking at?
The November 12th, second quintuple board chairs meeting.
Oh, yeah. Great. And I'll be there, so.
Yeah.
I'm out of state, October 11 to October 25. I don't know whether that's a problem or not.
Which one are you missing? I'm sorry, October.
Well, I'm out for that whole 2 weeks.
October 11th to 20-something.
To-
There is actually no
Yeah, those are, I mean, there are things going on, but.
for you to attend during that time.
Good.
I will be out of state for the 12th, but I will be able to join remotely.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is people certainly can join remotely. That is an option.
I will plan to join
I think we do need a majority in the room, probably.
That's a February 12th you're out?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll
On February 12th?
sure, yeah, but I will make sure I join.
Right, but no, that's really important for us to remember, because I will need to just double check about how many people need to actually be in the room and how many, like, how that works. But, yeah, please put it on as a virtual attendance. Okay, I will check on that. Vinnie, do you need a vote to approve this?
The calendar, I do
Okay.
not. I really just kind of need that you guys are generally okay with all the dates. And I will finalize them and send out the invites.
Okay. I don't see Julia anymore. Julia, do you have any questions or conflict?
No, I don't have any questions. We went over this in capital finance, so
Okay,
I have it.
excellent. Thank you.
Okay,
And I
thank you
think
guys.
you're up next anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Computer's just a little weird. It's got two screens going.
If they were PowerPoint slides, I could show you my fancy presentation trick. Oh, they are.
Just, I can't see what it's doing on the screens. Okay, so my next presentation relates to our student activities. Annually, we are required to seek your approval for our high school student club accounts that are within our student activities accounts. So annually, I perform a presentation to kind of just inform you of the student activity balances and how much activity they had during the year. One thing I would just like to mention is the business office doesn't actually control our student activity accounts. Those are all done at the school level. So all the checks and all the deposits that's made at the school level, the business office does not disperse the checks for this. It's all done through the principals and their administrative assistants. They control the checkbook, they control the reconciliations, they kind of just report to our office after the fact, after the end of the month. But they do a great job. They have to reconcile it. Kevin, our treasurer, does assist them with their reconciliation process. Just one thing I wanted to mention, because there is a little complexity with the student activities, is our normal reconciliation process, just like when you guys maybe balance your checkbook. You're balancing and comparing your bank statements to either your checkbook, your ledger, or whatever it is you're using. The district uses Infinite Visions as our business office financial software. So when we go to do our reconciliation, we're comparing our bank statements to Infinite Visions. However, when you layer in student activities, it's just a little bit more of a complication because there's a third set of books happening. So at the school, they have their own ledger. So now we have to reconcile their ledger to the business office ledger to the bank statements. So it does get a little confusing on who's posting the deposit, what time it was recorded in QuickBooks compared to what time they sent it up to the business office and when it actually got recorded into Infinite Visions. So it does cause some reconciliation issues every now and then because of this third layer of complications, because we are literally running a second set of books that is controlled by each individual school. But for fiscal 25, we have the following balances. As you look at the 5 schools, each school has their own student activities account. 4 of the schools, the 3 elementaries and the Miles River, all the funds that come in and get dispersed are kind of lumped into one student activities account. Up at the high school, however, they have almost 30 different subsidiary accounts where they're depositing and withdrawing funds based on those clubs' activities, fundraisers, field trips that they're doing, donations that they're making, whatever it is that they're going. So every year we are again required to get those lists of clubs approved by the school committee. But for fiscal year 25 in total, we dispersed, we took in roughly under $250,000 in our student activities account and dispersed just a little less, around $211,000. These numbers, these figures are nowhere included in my quarterly updates that I give you. This is completely separate and on top of all that information, all the dollars and money that I talk about during the year. This is in addition to that. Our budget that we just spoke about does not include anything to do with that student activities and would be above and beyond what we approved during our budget cycle. But our ending balance as of June 30, 2025, when you look at all 5 of our student activity accounts, total just under $137,000, obviously with the high school making up the biggest bulk. The next 2 slides are the high school subsidiary accounts. So I believe there are either 31 or 32 of them. In total, we've broken down their activity, their beginning balance, all of their revenue throughout the years, their expenses, and their ending balance. One thing we do have to report to you is if a club does not have any activity within 2 fiscal years. So looking back, if a club did not take in any revenue or did not disperse any expenses during fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 24, normally we're supposed to report that to you, close the club, and disperse the funds to the remaining clubs. However, as you see here by the star indicated on the right, there are a few clubs that have not had activity in past 2 years. However, we do have a request from the high school principal to keep those clubs open and active. They are active clubs that are currently running. They just have not taken in any money or dispersed any money. But that doesn't mean this year that something else might come up. They might decide to do a fundraiser. They might decide to do a donation to a certain local group. Or they might go on a field trip. That isn't determined, although they haven't done it in the past 2 years. Again, the club is still active and they still might do it this year. So there is a request to maintain those clubs' activity for the year. As you can see here, the high school alone has dispersed over $180,000 last year. Without a doubt, I'm backing up one slide. Their biggest group is DECA. They make up their biggest balance and most of their activity through the year, and no one really comes close to them. Last year, they dispersed $106,000 through their activity account alone. The nearest club, the closest club to them is the class of 2025, and they were $31,000. So they're at least 3 times bigger than the second runner-up. So they are, without a doubt, the most activity within the student activities account. But again, our ending balance at the high school was approximately $104,000. So again, tonight, we are simply requesting to maintain these active lists of clubs and continue to use them for the FY26 fiscal year. I can take any questions if you have them.
I have a question that maybe is really more for Mr. Tracy. I don't know. I was just curious about a high school band as a club.
It's an interesting question, but if the high school band gets a donation, it's generally to the students. So for instruments, somebody may donate $100 so that a child can go on a field trip, or somebody may donate $250 so that they can buy a flute or a new drum or have a drum reset. So there are expenses within the band that there's no real other way to house them, because they are student expenses, and we want, I mean, that's the one thing to keep in mind. This is student money. This is not, like, Vinny and I can't spend this money, none of us can. These are student-raised funds, student-accepted funds that are used for the benefit of students. So that's where some of them get a little dicey, but they need a place to put money when they get a donate. You know, you may see, like, the physics club may pop up at some point because someone donates $500 to that club, and it's a place to keep it so that it benefits the kids, and it doesn't get intermingled with the regular school budget.
Okay, makes sense.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna, I'm assuming, Vinny, that like the class of 2024, for example, it takes the 2 years for those funds to then get
So
redistributed?
per our student activity policies, we have 2 years to disperse the funds to the graduating class. When a class graduates, it's usually either the class president or the treasurer has to go out and open their own bank account, and we disperse these funds to them, and then they keep track of them to use them for future reunions or whatever they plan. The member of the class of 2024 did not timely open a bank account for us to disperse the money. However, we did do that this past August. But as of June 30, they still have money on the books, and we still need them as an active account. As of today, there is no money left. We did disperse it, and that's the same with the class of 2025. They have not done their part yet.
Now, we do this for clubs, but we don't do something similar for sports. Is there a reason? Because they also accept donations and do fundraising.
I didn't hear that, sorry.
How are boosters sports different?
Right.
than-
We do
That
this
is
for
mixed with general
clubs.
fund money, so it's separated without the student activities money, because they're paying their fee towards a general fund expense.
No, I'm not talking about the athletic fees. I'm talking about the fundraising the gymnastics team and the soccer team and the football team do. Fundraising for DECA or for Science Club automatically goes into these accounts. And I assume that, are they interest-bearing accounts?
These ones?
Yes.
Yes.
But sports fundraisers don't. Is that,
Sports fundraisers usually sit with the booster organization.
right, but I mean, would it behoove us to do something similar for sports just so that they could avail themselves of the potential to actually make interest on it?
We currently do that, and they do get
Okay, that was my question.
Yep. When we take in their donations, it gets separated into the own athletics account. It's just not a student activities account.
Okay. Are we waiting for a motion? Is that what we're waiting for?
On the top?
Up top right there on the slide.
Sorry, so looking at the actual top slide. I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee vote to approve the following 32 high school subsidiary accounts for the 2025-2026 school year.
Second?
Second by Megan Benson. Is there any further discussion or questions? All right. Amy?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Julia?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Dana's yes. And the motion passes unanimously with 6 votes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Vinny?
Okay. Next up, we have committee reports. Capital Finance.
Capital Finance has met and reported to you, and we haven't had a meeting since. Our next meeting is October 6th.
Okay. Sorry. Hold on.
You lost Julia.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is there an agenda for that yet?
Pardon me?
Is there an agenda? Okay.
Your next
But
meeting is,
it'll be posted pre,
This
et
is-
cetera,
Yep.
yeah.
Meeting's October 6th. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Anything, I'm sorry. Just had a moment there. All right. Policy?
We are meeting on the 29th at 2:30, which is a Monday.
All right. And
September, okay.
And in that meeting, we will approve the one
you,
pager.
I'm sorry, you and
Jen.
So you are needing a new member of
new
the
member.
policy subcommittee.
Yes.
Okay, so we will need to make sure that that gets done at our next meeting. Well, I'm sorry, say the date again, or I know you're,
Monday, September 29th.
okay. Negotiations. We
Wait a
have a
minute.
meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
We are also down a member, so we will need a new member for negotiations. So we'll bring that to the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a secretary report, but Julia will be excited to get on that. Right, next, this is, the next topic we have is called In Our Inboxes. We've not done this before, something that, I'm going to just turn it over to Amy. Amy?
Okay. I'll just explain the idea behind this, just to give a little bit of insight into some of the things that we get contacted about as school committee members. One of the items that I thought was interesting is we had an email from a member of the community asking about the new stadium lighting at the athletic fields, and I had asked Eric about it, and the answer was really interesting. The question was about like why at this certain time they were on late at night. So can I kick it to you, Eric, to explain?
No.
No?
No, kidding.
Uh-oh.
The email came in around lateness of the lights being on. It happened to be during the week that we were having dark sky certification, which was a requirement of the Conservation Commission. So they can't come out until after 8 o'clock. The dark sky group comes out. They do testing of lighting from like center of the field all the way to off the fields to figure out the number of candle powers in order to give us a dark sky certification. Today, I did receive the dark sky certification. So, one of the caveats with the lights is we're really still trying to figure them out. We've had several lights that come on when we want them to and shut off when we want them to, but others that don't. So we've been working with the contractor to make sure all the lights work the way they do. It actually is very simple to run. It's just a matter of making sure everything's connected correctly. They run off of a cell phone, so they can be shut down. They can also run off a timing system, so we're still trying to work those kinks out. But the reason that there was a couple nights in a row, I think there was 3, maybe 4 nights in a row, because we didn't know exactly when the group was coming. So we just set them to go down at 10 o'clock so they could come and just do their work. They literally come at 9, 10 o'clock at night, do the testing, and then leave. But we did receive today our dark sky certification, so we'll send that to the Conservation Commission.
Good to know.
In fact, it already went to the Conservation Commission, so
Thank you.
good news.
That is good news. That's really cool. And the other thing that I really wanted to bring up, because it made me smile, was a letter we got from 2 members of the community who caught you visiting a lemonade stand, and they thought that was very nice.
Yeah, that was very
That was
cute.
really sweet, yeah.
That was
made me
lovely,
smile.
yeah. All right.
Never miss a lemonade stand. Especially when they have cookies, too.
Thank you.
That's all I have for right now.
Superintendent report?
Okay, just a couple of quick things. I wanted to say how excited I am about our new teachers. I have been in their classrooms, and I think our principals and our teaching staff did a great job hiring this year. We have some really fantastic, dynamic teachers who are up to speed, doing, really in the middle of the thick of it already, and it's exciting to watch them in their classrooms and function in their classrooms. So it's important for me to be in teacher classrooms every single day. As many of you know, I literally schedule that into my schedule every day to be in classroom somewhere, because that's really the priority for me, to be in there, to supporting the kids, supporting the teachers. But this gives me the opportunity to see all of our new teachers. So a great past couple of weeks getting in and seeing how things are going. Really excited for how things will progress. Field opening, a few weeks ago, we had a torrential downpour lightning storm event on that opening night. We've met with the committee. It's been really hard to find a new date because we literally have the fields being used all the time now. So we're going to try to build something into that Thanksgiving week where we will have some alumni come back. We'll have there's already a bunch of planned school events that week. So leading into the Thanksgiving game, it'll encompass even the Hall of Fame stuff. So we figure that'll be a good way to do it. It's kind of like too late now, but the football game was a huge kickoff that whole week. I mean, we had packed the house the whole week, and people got to see it, and people were blown away with it. The good thing for us, we also could work out some kinks, like, okay, we need to put a fence here, and we need to get these two lights working, and all the rain on the day we weren't supposed to meet helped us to figure out a drain problem we had, so that was fixed as well. So we're just about done with the punch list. We're at the kind of the last couple of things. The amenities building is having the soffit reset. They didn't give enough room for expansion, so it's a little wavy, so they're redoing that. We had a drain, as people remember, that was clogged last week. They came and sorted that out. That is all set. We're changing out some actual covers that cover drains to grates so that the water can actually leave the facility more quickly. So just a lot of little things, and we're hoping to open this up to the public early October, and that's really the whole facility. We are going to put out some kind of rules of the road. I mean, we're having two major problems we're having right now: bikes on the fields and tracks, and dogs on the fields and tracks. Dogs are not a good mix for turf, especially when we're using organic infill. So we're going to ask the community's help just to keep that in check. But we hope to open up early to mid-October so that people can use them. I know there's a huge pickleball group waiting to get on there. We have 8 pickleball courts up there, so lots of things going on, but hoping to finalize that project and get a final number and then close everything out.
Great.
So, thank you.
All right. Yeah, dogs wouldn't have been a good idea before when people were playing on it.
It was a problem.
Bad idea. Okay. So the only thing I'm going to offer for the chair report is, as I mentioned earlier, I am going to sort of just run through the basic process for appointing a new member. So the way that this works is that we will reach out, I'll reach out to the Wenham Select Board. The departing member is from Wenham. The way that our regional agreement works, the newly appointed member will need to be from the same town as the departing member. Just as we've done in the past, we'll need to post a request for letters of interest. I don't have a date for you yet, but that will be out soon. We'll get a date with the Wenham Select Board, and we will, once we receive letters of interest, which again will be posted in the newspaper and on our website, we'll put that out. Again, they need to be citizens of Wenham. We'll get a date with the Wenham Select Board, and the school committee will sit jointly with the Wenham Select Board and interview, and then jointly appoint the new member. This particular term, well, I should say always, an appointed position always is only appointed until the upcoming election. So the person who was selected could either serve until the election and choose to run again or not. It's up to the selected person whether they want to run again, or run for election, excuse me. In this particular case, at that election, that spot on the school committee would be that election, so we're talking about the spring of 2026, that spot would be for a 2-year term. That is because we want to keep the terms the same way so that we don't get off cycle and end up having, everyone getting, the whole board getting elected in 1 year. So if that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions on that process? We've done it before.
Yeah.
We did it very recently. That's how we got Megan. But just for members of the public, will remember that that was with the Hamilton Select Board. It's because, again, that seat was vacated from Hamilton. This seat was vacated from a member who lives in Wenham. So it'll look a little bit different, but it's the same process. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Okay. Next up, topics for future meetings.
We'll have the one-page guide to voting thresholds.
Oh, okay.
You want that
Hopefully.
next meeting?
We'll approve it hopefully at our next meeting, and then
So we anticipated that it'll be at the next
anticipate
meeting.
that it will be, is it the 2nd? October 2nd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I look forward to that. Thank you. David?
To discuss the process for moving forward on building new buildings, renovations. What is the process?
So next steps
Mhm.
for the
Or at least what are the first steps towards a new process?
first steps. Yeah, okay, so process for moving forward on, I don't know what to call it, elementary school.
Not necessarily elementary school, just facilities across the board.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And I may, as always, I may touch base with you about the wording and the timing and
Sure.
things like that. Same with you, Amy, although that seems pretty straightforward. So, anybody else have any topics for future meetings? Okay. All right. Everybody ready? Because I'm going to make this. Yep. Okay. I move to adjourn to executive session under General Law, Section 30A, Section 21A, purpose number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation, Jeffrey Austin, Deb Safford, Dorothy Gallant versus the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School Committee. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, not to return to open session.
Second.
Second by Amy.
Oh, I had a question. Since that litigation was withdrawn, is there
Not
anything?
going to be able to answer a question. That is correct.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to answer a question or discuss
Yeah,
in this meeting, so, but that is correct.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, the question is, are we willing to move into executive session? That's,
Yeah, no, I mean, my question was, do you need to if there's no litigation pending?
yes. Not to get too Robert's rulesy, but you would have to just vote no.
Well, I didn't want to...
Because I made the motion, so
Okay.
so.
Well, I guess you must feel that there is something to discuss. So, okay. I'm not going to contradict that.
I think our virtual member departed, is that correct?
Yep.
So we don't need to so Julia has left the meeting. We don't need a roll call vote. So unless there's further discussion, all right, all those in favor? And that is unanimous, and we are adjourned.